For the past 14 years, Brandon has been helping websites rank higher on Google using SEO strategies. He's helped thousands of websites rank for hyper-competitive keywords that convert into sales and leads without spending money on ads. I'm excited for you to meet him. Let's cue the intro and jump right in. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast, and I'm excited you joined me today because today we have Brandon in the house with the SEO. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. We're excited to have you.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to sharing all my knowledge with everybody. So.
Absolutely. And you've been up to some amazing things. You have a cool YouTube channel that you're building and a pretty ridiculous company that helps entrepreneurs in a way that I think oftentimes is overlooked. And so I was excited to get you on the show today to talk about some stuff that we all need. All of us entrepreneurs, we all need it. And yet it seems to be something, I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, but it seems to be something that it's like, oh yeah, I'll get to that someday. Or, oh yeah, maybe I'll do that. Except for when you listen to your clients talk, they're like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. You do amazing things. We're going to get to all of that today, but we'll work our way to it. But I like to start off with just finding out a little bit more about your backstory, because I believe that when people can find out more about you, they're going to be a little bit more connected and maybe easier for them to come and work with you, which they should. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the SEO game and how this whole, how you started walking down this path.
So kind of just fell into it. Wasn't what I was looking to do. Got my degree in business marketing and wanted to go into more traditional marketing, like creating banners and doing advertising, but graduated in 2007 and the recession hit and it was kind of tough to find a job. And so one company near my house said, we want you to do internet marketing. And I was just like, not too familiar with it. I don't really have much experience. And they said, don't worry. We don't know much about either. We're going to take you to classes and workshops and seminars and kind of let me learn on my own, which was kind of interesting. So I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. And I was helping out with pretty much everything. They were an e-commerce website. I was pretty much doing all their digital marketing, helping out with email marketing, doing Google ads, doing social media, doing SEO, and pretty much realized that everyone's going to have a website in the future and I should probably stick with this digital stuff. And SEO is a way to get free traffic. I mean, email, social media, ads, they all work. But if you get up there for free and you don't have to spend that money, it's going to be the better long-term strategy. And that's really what I just focused on ever since then, is just figuring out how to get more free traffic from Google, and worked at different advertising agencies and worked at different companies, helping them out with their SEO. And a few years ago, just was able to leave all that and dedicate all my time to my company. But I've always been doing SEO on the side, just helping out companies with their SEO and just working on the side, just learning, testing, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and just never look back from there.
That's awesome. I mean, to just end up even close to the field that you studied in school. I mean, they probably weren't that close, but they're close, right? There's still marketing, right? So, so many people are, and I was one of them. I got a degree in geography. I'm nowhere near that field. I mean, I had good intentions, but that's really cool. I mean, did you look at it as a that it coincided, or was it all totally different than what you had learned in school?
So unfortunately in school, they taught us more just traditional. They taught us a little bit of digital, but the thing about digital is what works today potentially won't work tomorrow. And when they're writing these textbooks and things like that, they're from a year ago, 2 years ago. And with SEO especially, I mean, Google changes daily. So It's constantly evolving. So it did help learning some of the basics of marketing, but really diving in and going to classes and workshops, just learning as much as I can and really testing. That's the main way, just keep testing and see what works and what doesn't work.
How cool is that, though, that you got connected with a company that would pay for all of your education in it and then pay you to do it too? That's dream situation, right? Do you still do any work for them, or do you still consult for them at all? Or do you are you out on your own doing your own thing without them now?
Yep, just out on my own without them, but I do appreciate them for taking that first step, introducing me to the world of SEO and digital marketing and kind of getting my foot in the door. Otherwise, I would have probably been doing something with more traditional or even sales, which is what I wanted to avoid with the marketing side. I didn't realize that marketing is primarily sales, but
Yeah.
luckily, just like you're saying with geography, you kind of just fall into that field after you get your degree, and you see what sparks your interest, and
Yeah.
kind of go from there. And
How
yeah, it's a
crazy is
journey.
that? I mean, and that was like 13 years ago. Well, no longer, like
Yeah,
seven,
it was
17. Oh my gosh, that was a long time. You said 2007 when you jumped into that.
yeah 2007. Got in kind of early, but still, there was a lot of people that got in a lot earlier than me. But
Yeah.
2007 was the golden days. It was a lot easier to do SEO. Not much competition like
Right.
nowadays. A lot of competition. Everybody's kind of realizing we need to be online. So
Right.
it's
Right.
not as easy as it used to be, but it's fun and keeps it interesting.
That's awesome. And now, I mean, you have such raving reviews. It's great to hear that, and it's always lovely to be able to watch somebody else be able to succeed at what they're doing and hear their customers so happy and so pleased with the work that you've done. And you can hear that in your clients when they talk about what you've done for them. And that's amazing. Um, so what is it? Let's dig into SEO a little bit, because I feel like even though it's been around for ages and it's gone through so many adjustments and changes,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously we know it stands for search engine optimization. A lot of the marketing and direct marketing gurus out there, because it's not their jam. So they teach their strategy, or they teach their thing as to how they're going to get you to make money online. And what I'd love you to discuss with us is what SEO is all about, really, and maybe what it was about, maybe what it is about now, because it's obviously grown and developed. So what is it really all about?
Yep. So SEO really is just optimizing your website to get Google to better understand what it is, or search engines to better understand what your website's about. That way they give you those rankings, whether it's Google, Bing, Yahoo, or DuckDuckGo, which is seeming to grow in popularity. But primarily everything is for Google nowadays. I mean, Google just brings in the majority of the traffic. So what we're doing is going in and just making sure your website has the keywords in the different areas that Google's specifically looking at, so they could better read and understand what your website's about. Because what we see on a website is completely different than what the search engine see. They just see your coding. They can't read any of the images or videos. Your website just gets stripped down to text. So they're just reading all that text line by line, trying to understand what your website's about. And from there, they take all the information, throw in their algorithm, but just kept top secret. Nobody even knows how it works. And even if you did know how it works, tomorrow it changes. So that doesn't really matter. We don't I always tell people it doesn't matter how Google or what Google's looking at. We just want to figure out who's on that first page of Google, how much SEO have they done, and how can we do more SEO than they've done? Because no one's ever going to beat Google. We're not trying to beat the search engines. I mean, it'd be great if we could, but it's just really not feasible. So we're just trying to figure out how much SEO your competition's done. And really it comes down to nowadays backlinks. Well, it's always been backlinks. Backlinks are really how their algorithms first started, is how many websites are talking about you. So Google wants to see that other websites mention your company name with a clickable link, or just your company as a clickable link. The more clickable links from third-party relevant authoritative sites, the more trust Google's going to have, and the higher up you're going to be able to rank, because Google doesn't really trust the keywords that you put on the website. Too many people over the past 20 something years have tricked Google, and Google's like, nope, we cannot trust anybody, unfortunately. So the backlinks build that trust. Google reads your website, reads all that keywords, but they don't trust you. It's like I could build a website and I could say I'm a dentist in Los Angeles, and Google's like, wait, is Brandon really a dentist? We don't want to just send people to this dentist office without making sure he really exists. So if like they see that I'm on WebMD, or if I'm on Yelp and Yellow Pages or MapQuest, that all kind of builds trust. And Google's like, wait, maybe Brandon is a dentist because he's on all these different sites. So, but that's kind of how SEO works in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of other nuances and
Sure.
technicalities, but that's kind of the simplified version, is just the content on your website and those backlinks. That's
Right.
really what it comes down to nowadays. And it's always been like that. It's just, you got to make sure that you build the right type of backlinks, you do the right type of content, because over the years, too many people have figured out ways to trick Google, building low quality backlinks or writing content that's kind of gibberish. It doesn't make sense, but to Google, it made sense. Well, back in like 2007, 8. Nowadays, Google's a lot more sophisticated, but so it's all just about appeasing Google and making sure they're happy.
Seems like that's pretty normal. What would entice, because again, I'm speaking from an unknowledgeable, I mean, I've always known SEO was around and existed, but what would make somebody put a link to you on their site? Like, why would they want to do that, and why would that be more relevant to Google? I mean, so what if somebody puts a link to my site on their site? Like, why do they care?
Yep. So that is a good question. Google looks at that is that someone is kind of like recommending you. So it's kind of like a vote of a confidence. So
I see.
kind of like a popularity contest. The more websites that talk about you or vote for you,
Okay.
the more trust Google's going to have that you are who you really say you are. But nowadays they want to make sure that you get backlinks from relevant websites. So if I gave you a backlink from my SEO company, might not make the most sense. Google wants to see that other websites that are related to your industry that link out to you. So that's a big part, because too many people were tricking Google and they would just build website or get backlinks from just random websites. And Google's like, that doesn't really align. Like, again, going back to like the doctor's example, like if a doctor's office was getting a backlink from an SEO company, Google's gonna be like, wait, are they an SEO company or are they a doctor's office? Because that doesn't really align. So, but yeah, that's really how them all started. And getting backlinks is tricky. I mean,
Yeah, it
Google
seems
wants,
like it, right? Because if it's somebody that is in my field, then it seems a little strange that they would be recommending me if they're in my field. So how does that work?
Yeah, so usually you're not going to get competitors if you doesn't link out to you. You just want other websites that are semi-related. So like for myself, I'm an SEO company. If I could get other websites related to marketing, traditional marketing, TV, radio, it doesn't even have to be digital marketing. I mean, the more related, the better, but as long as it's semi-related, that's what matters. And usually, well, what Google wants is you write good content. So you write a really good blog post, or like right now, you put out a really good podcast and people want to naturally link to it saying, hey, check this out. They're talking about SEO strategies, and that would naturally get some backlinks. But unfortunately, it's tough for people just to naturally link out to you. So you have to do some reaching out where you could reach out to other people in your industry and be like, hey, I was reading your website, or I saw that you do podcasts. I was wondering if I could be a guest or join, and or if you could give me a backlink. Or it's all about getting creative. Usually what happens is somebody will give an article to somebody, like I might reach out to you and be like, hey, I wrote this really good article or blog post, and I was wondering if you'd like to share it with your audience. And then in there it might say, this article was written by Brandon Leibowitz from SEO Optimizers, and it mentions me in there. So there's a lot of different ways to get these backlinks, but you want to make sure that when you do them nowadays that you go for quality, not just quantity. In the past, it used to be if I had 100 backlinks and you had 101 backlinks, you would rank higher than me. Now it's the quality, because it's like in the past, there's tools where with the click of a button, I could build millions of backlinks in a few hours. And Google's just like, wait, hold on. We don't want people tricking this. We don't want people gaming the system. So that's why it's all about quality. That's really the biggest thing. And that's really probably most of my job nowadays, is just building good quality backlinks.
Wow. Wow. And what a cool skill. I mean, you say that and I feel like I'm seeing a flashlight in a completely pitch black forest, and I'm like, I could tell it's important, and I know that you need it, and I know it's something that we all as entrepreneurs should be doing, and yet I feel like, holy cow, I could run into a tree any minute.
Yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky. You got to be careful. That's why I usually tell people you can go in and optimize your website. You can do the content, the keyword research, but the backlinks, that's where you have to be really careful, especially if you're hiring another company. Because if they're building the wrong type of backlinks, and most people aren't going to know, or they're not going to be too keen on what's a quality backlink versus a non-quality backlink to Google. But especially if you're going on sites like Fiverr and things like that, where anything where it's too good to be true or too cheap, usually you get what you pay for with the quality. And then Google comes back, and instead of ranking higher, you're going to see your rankings dropping. You're like, what's going on? I built all these backlinks, but it's all about the quality of them nowadays. So you have to be really, really careful with that stuff.
Wow. So is the building of that SEO, is it going to require our entrepreneurs to create more content that is appropriate for the specific backlink that you're doing, or is it just more content and then you go find places to create that backlink?
It's either way. Usually I would say write good content for your blog that you want, that's resonating with people, but then take other content that maybe isn't the highest quality content or isn't the most relevant to your industry and take that content and start pitching to other people. But it all is content. And the other thing is, once you publish an article, you can't use it again. So you have to write new content for every website. That's the tricky part. That's where it does become a lot of work, where people are like, all right, now I have to write another blog post for this website. That's why for your own website, I would put the best, highest quality web content on your own blog. Then when you're reaching out to other blogs, usually I reach out to them first, see if they're interested, and then kind of get a feel of maybe they want me to write this angle versus this angle. Because if I just write an article and try to pitch it to them, they might not want that topic. So I usually give them a few ideas and kind of let them pick and choose from there. But yeah,
What do you do? What do we do if we're not writers? Because I know I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs that aren't writers. They don't want to do a blog. They don't want to do any of that stuff. They're pretty happy with either creating video content or, for me, I like podcast content. But what do we do? Like, is that overcomable, or is it just that we do need to actually hire somebody to write those blogs and that actual written content?
Well, actually, so the nice thing is with videos, Google can't really read images or videos yet. So images and videos, you could get away with reusing that same video. So I could reach out to all these blogs and be like, hey, I just was on this podcast. I was sharing some information about SEO. I was wondering if you'd like to share this on your own website. So with images or videos, that's a nice thing. You could just reuse that over and over again, as long as it's evergreen content and it's not outdated.
Right.
Perfectly fine. Same with images. So a lot of people, instead of writing a whole blog post, they'll create what's called an infographic, where it's kind of a visualization of an article. And that, again, as long as you make it evergreen, where it's not 2017 tips for SEO, you can't really use that nowadays. Like I created an infographic maybe 6 years ago about advanced search operators for SEO, kind of really technical thing, but it's never been outdated. It's really always the same content. So I'm able to use that 5-6 years later and not have to create a whole new infographic or create new content. You do have to invest and be good at graphic design to make an infographic, or pay for a graphic designer to help you out with that stuff. But at least that's just one time. You don't have to keep redoing it over and over again, because the content does add up to a lot of time. It can be a little tedious writing a blog post for every different website that you're trying to get published on.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it seems to make a huge difference and have a pretty large impact on what you're doing. Now, I deal with a lot of people that are in the funnel space, where they're not really focusing as much on a website per se, like a hub, but they're focusing on their funnels and a specific funnel. Does SEO work well with specific funnels, even though they're not like a particular traditional website?
Yep. So it works well. You just have to get people into that funnel. So with SEO is, let's create a new web or new landing page that is more optimized, because most of these landing pages that are funnels, they don't have much content. There's like a lot of images and videos, and Google can't read that stuff. So it's not going to work too well for SEO. So make those funnel landing pages and then have a homepage, or just have another page full of content. And that page leads people into your funnel. So you lead them in with all that content saying, learn more. You have maybe an exit intent pop-up, or you capture their email address, or you have whatever you want to do to entice people to get into that funnel. But you will have to create a new page with content, because Google wants about, I'd say 400 words is kind of the average that you'd want per page that you want to rank on Google, because Google can't read images or videos yet. They're getting close to it, but they really rely on content. That's really what they're looking for. So the more original content you have on that page, the more Google's going to be able to throw in their algorithm and try to better figure out what your website's about. So making those pages and then drawing them into that funnel, it works pretty well.
That's really cool. And what a cool way. Now, are all these backlinks that you're talking about, some of my colleagues have been on the show, and some of their thing is all about the prettiness of it and the way it looks. So how does that work with the backlinks? Do they have to be visible? I heard you saying earlier that Google sees something completely different behind the scenes. So is that all stuff that has to be visible, or is it stuff that can be hidden away in the background?
So the backlinks, they're usually just within the content. So let's say you're reading like the latimes.com, you might see those blue clickable links and you click on that. So sometimes people hide them and blend them into the text so they're not blue, or they might be black with the black text around it. So it's a little bit more hidden, but yeah, they're always going to be there where Google will read in the coding and see it. Sometimes we might see it, sometimes we will not see it because people kind of hide them. Or images could be backlinks where sometimes you click on an image, it takes you to another website. So there's a lot of different ways to get or build backlinks. But yeah, most of the stuff that I'm doing for SEO, it's all kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't really, yeah, Google might see it. I mean, people might see it, they might not see it, but what we're really trying to do is get Google to see those backlinks, get Google to see that content, get Google to see all that stuff.
What kind of turnaround does it take? Like, let's say somebody's not doing SEO and they're not, working to optimize in that way. What kind of time does it take to really develop that and see some sort of fruit from that labor?
Yeah, so with SEO, it all comes down to the competitiveness of that keyword that you're trying to rank for and how much SEO you've done in the past. Let's say you're trying to rank for a really competitive keyword and your competition has thousands of backlinks and you're a brand new company. It's going to take you some time. So, but usually it takes about 6 months to build that trust with Google because really what we're doing is building trust. So Google wants to see, to Google, a normal website would be getting backlinks consistently. So if you just got 100 backlinks all at once and then you never get any more backlinks, Google's would be like, that's a little strange, what's going on? So they want to see you constantly getting these backlinks, and then after a few months of seeing them, that's when you'll start moving up to like page 3, page 4, page 2, page 5. But after about 6 months, that's where you get to that first page. But if you're in a very, very competitive industry, it might take a year sometimes. I mean, I have people out trying to sell t-shirts. I'm like, you got a lot of competition. There's like all these big corporate brands, Amazon is up there. So that's going to take a lot more time than someone with more unique niche kind of items. And if you don't have any competition, you could get up there within a couple months. So it just really comes down to how competitive that keyword is or your industry is that you're trying to rank for.
Right. Well, I mean, like I can imagine, my name is Michael Johnson. I thought to myself, someday when I've really made it, we'll type in Michael Johnson on Google and I'll be on the first page. How cool will that be? But I mean, you type in Michael Johnson and there's billions of us. And and so I could only imagine trying to rank for something like that. Is that like just out of range and it's just a matter of going after keywords and the other things that you need, just because there are so many people named Michael Johnson?
Yeah, well, actually, it would be very competitive for your name. Luckily, my name, Brandon Leibowitz, there's not too many of us, so it's a lot easier for me to get up there, but yours definitely is more common. So what I would recommend is just get content out there, like start publishing content, and then it says authored by Michael Johnson, and then
I see.
And then so what Google's going to do is they're not going to always show you because there's a lot of people that might be searching for different Michael Johnson. So they're going to try to pick the 10 that they think are the most popular. But even then it's tough because Google doesn't know, are they looking for you or are they looking for a different Michael Johnson? And Google doesn't want to just give the result. And then people are just like, that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for this other Michael Johnson. So they want to try to give as many options as possible or pick the most popular person. So
wow.
But yeah, maybe a press release would be good. Write an article, press release about your website, and then.
Yeah, and this is all stuff that you do for your clients, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, this is all stuff that I do and try to strategize and figure out what's the best approach. If you have something like your name where it's a lot of competition, you have to figure out more unique strategies. And also, let's look at the competition too, and we can see all of their backlinks. That's the nice part about SEO is I can see everything you're doing and you can see everything I'm doing. So I'll go in and look at all my competitors, see what backlinks they have, and try to acquire those high quality backlinks and not acquire the low quality ones because you got to be careful with that stuff too. And there's a ton of tools out there. They're all paid tools. Yeah. Like $100 a month, but I would recommend it if you are trying to do it, maybe buy this tool for 1 month. Like it's called Ahrefs, Ahrefs, or there's Moz, or there's Majestic, or there's SEMrush. I mean, you just pick one and spend that $100, throw all your competitors in there. You could download all their backlinks, and then one by one, when you have time, just look at where those backlinks are coming from and see how they got it. Did they get published on another website? Are they on Yelp and you're not on Yelp? Stuff like that, or like, are they on the BBB or Chamber of Commerce and all these things where you're just like, okay, if they're on it, let me join it and let me join this stuff because if that's what they have in their backlink profile, it's more than likely that's the reason they're ranking. It's not just because they're getting lucky. Google's looking at all that stuff and taking account into it.
Wow. That's amazing that that's going on in the background, and that's going on with these companies, and so much in the direct marketing space, and especially online marketing. Like I said earlier, it seems like, because what people are good at is the strategy. So it seems as though, you hear a pitch for a new strategy here and there every day, and yet at the same time, there's so much of this going on in the background that smart people like you know how to do.
Yeah.
What a cool thing. And obviously, as entrepreneurs, we can probably keep doing the thing that we do, and creating content and creating the thing we do, and to get somebody like you on board seems like it could be super ridiculously valuable. So tell me a little bit about, I have some random questions. I know we've been talking about SEO, and I'm sure that's going to have helped so many people just to kind of understand really what it's about, and what's happening with it. But um, when you talk about, you're talking about content, and you're talking about quality content, I mean, it seems to lead a lot towards this idea of better communication skills. Like, what do you see as the value of being able to communicate better when it comes to all of your quality content that you were referencing?
Yeah, yeah. It's all about copywriting skills and being able to be a good copywriter while blending it in with being an SEO or optimizing it, sprinkling in those keywords where necessary to help Google. So you're trying to write content for people and for Google nowadays. So it's kind of like that juggling balance. You want to make sure that Google sees it if you're trying to rank that page on Google organically, and make sure that people could read it and has a good call to action, good value proposition, offers all the important information. But with quality content, the biggest thing Google's looking at is originality, making sure it's not been duplicated, because Google prides itself on original content. So, I mean, imagine if you're trying to, like, let's say you have to change your oil in your car and you're searching on Google how to change the oil, and the same 10 articles show up. That's not a good user experience. You're like, Google, what's going on? This is not what I want to see. I want other different perspectives, different point of views. You probably just go on to like Bing or another search engine. So whoever publishes the content first, they get all the credit. So if I publish an article and then everyone else takes that article, publishes on their own blog, everyone else might get penalized for duplicate content. I'll get all the credit and I'll rank for it. So that really is the most important piece of good content, is just making sure it's 100% unique, because Google doesn't want duplicate content on the internet.
Right. Well, I mean, this seems interesting, right? Because it's a sort of chicken or the egg kind of thing when it comes to picking keywords and doing content. I mean, I know as a as someone in personal development, I love the topic. I love working with people on how to upgrade their operating systems. And the topics that I pick are the topics I pick because they're needed. But at the same time, I don't typically usually go to find the keyword and then go try to make up a topic on it. So what's the balance? How do you advise us to do that? Like, how do we create the content and then go put the keywords in? Do we go find the keywords and then try to make the content fit? Like, how does that balance out?
I mean, you could do it either way. Like, so if you write the content and then you want to figure out what keywords to place in there, you can figure out, do I want to rank for the plural or the synonym? So there's all these different tools that let you see how many people search for those keywords, because maybe you wrote an article and you realize the title has keywords, but they don't have that much search volume, but using a plural or a synonym or a variation of it will get a lot more traffic. So using tools like the Google Keyword Planner, it's a free tool from Google, show you exactly how many people search for that keyword every single month.
Wow.
So then you could just throw in all these keywords that you have in your head, or maybe you've seen your competitors using these keywords. You don't want to always use what your competition's using, because you want to double check. I mean, a lot of times they'll have keywords on their websites that might be outdated or older, because like when I first started doing digital marketing, it was called internet marketing. So all my keywords on my website were all about internet marketing. Now I need to shift that to digital marketing. So you don't want to just take what you see with the grant. You always want to just double check, because you never know what's going on or how accurate it is, because trends happen and emerge all the time and things change.
Wow. That's it's such a fluid and living concept, and it seems as though it just keeps adjusting and changing, and to have someone that gets it, I mean, like, it just, I can only imagine what you have to do on a regular basis to keep up with all of that. It sounds daunting.
It's a little tricky. A lot of just playing around and testing, and kind of
Right.
like at the very beginning, what I did is just going to like workshops and going to classes and watching videos and joining groups and just testing
Right.
it and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and just keep continuously going from there, which keeps it interesting too. That way, it's
Yeah.
not just the same thing over and over every day, just doing the same thing. It's always constantly evolving. So it's kind of like a game, and just trying to figure out how to get ahead of your competition.
Sure. Well, I mean, it seems so important that, and I kind of want to take a moment to plug an idea here, and that is the who is almost as important as the how. And all of us entrepreneurs out here doing and running the game, we know the how, and we understand the how of what we do. And sometimes we need the who to come in and make the how actually visible so that other people can see it. And that's a big deal, you know, and to have somebody that could do that behind the scenes, and really optimize that seems incredibly valuable. Um, what what have you learned about keeping up with that SEO industry and the changes that continue to come? What have you learned about being able to just keep shifting with all of the changes? Like, how have you really stayed with that? Because a lot of people just can't make that many changes, and so they just end up tanking because they can't keep up with it. So how have you learned to do that?
Yep, it's just reading up and just seeing what's going on in the world of SEO, and trying to connect with other people that are doing SEO, and seeing if they see any fluctuations, any trends, because every once in a while, like every maybe 3 or 4 months, Google will do a big algorithm update, and that's where a lot of people will notice fluctuations, or some people might see a giant spike, other people might see a decline, and then it's kind of piecing it together and trying to figure out what happened to the sites that won versus the sites that dropped in rankings, and just trying to reverse engineer it, because Google's not going to really tell you what happened. Sometimes they do, but usually they don't. Like, they'll tell you, like for mobile, when they did the mobile algorithm update, saying like, if your website's not mobile friendly, you're not going to be shown on mobile devices. So Google will tell you that, or if your website loads slowly, it's going to penalize you. But usually the stuff with like the backlinks and the content, they don't tell you the little technicalities and the nuances, because they don't want people figuring out other tools. We're just clicking a button and build thousands of backlinks, and that's not what Google wants. So they want to make sure the internet's better, or that there's less spam, that it's just a safer place,
Right.
and that good quality content is really what they're looking for, and good user experience. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
a
I have
big
a mentor that kind of implies that anyway. It's like, well, stop trying to game the system. Just do what they want. They want you to create
one.
quality, good stuff, like you're saying. You know, just do it. Just do it. Stop
Yep.
wasting your time with the other stuff, and then you don't have to worry when they change. Because if you're doing something that's quality, and I believe we should be, as entrepreneurs, over delivering. We should be giving our clients and potential clients the stuff that they want and the
Yep.
stuff that they need, so that they can feel comfortable working with you. And you know, that's why I've run a podcast for 2 years. You know, anybody that wants to find out if I'm legit can get on to almost 300 episodes and find out if they like what I have to say. And if they don't, then I'm not the right person for you, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I'm not going to be able to convince you. You know,
Yep.
but
Yep.
it seems as though, you know, having you know, somebody on your team as an entrepreneur to be able to take care of some of that background stuff would be invaluable. It seems as though it seems as something we all need if we have any sort of presence online.
Yep.
Um,
It
we're going to
helps.
get into that in a second, because I want to know, and I want to tell our audience all about the things that you can do specific. I know there's a lot of things you talked about, and I don't know that all of them you do, but we'll let everybody know what you do in a second. But what I like to do is cover what I call my lightning round, and is just modeled off of good old John Lee Dumas. He does it at the end of his Entrepreneurs on Fire. And I thought it'd be great for personal development. I love especially talking about emotions. So that's kind of what the subject is, because all of us entrepreneurs, we all it's kind of a lonely game. And so I found that it's really helpful for us when we can listen to other entrepreneurs and go, oh my gosh, you going through that too? I thought I was just on an island and I thought I was the only one that was experiencing this. But this is our lightning round. And basically I'll give you a category and ask what your go-to emotion is when things are going well and what your limiting emotion is when things are going poorly. So good luck. Right.
Let's do it.
All right. So
lightning round. Let's go.
So first category is business. When things are going well in business, what's your go-to emotion?
Happy, relaxed.
Okay. And when things are going poorly, what's your limiting emotion?
Maybe just sometimes get a little stressed out, overwhelmed. So
yeah. Okay. And with any partnerships that you've done, business partnerships and whatnot, when things are going well, what's your go-to emotion?
I get excited for that stuff. New partnerships lead to new adventures. And
cool. And what's your limiting emotion when things are going poorly in a partnership?
Sometimes you get a little frustrated, sometimes depending on what the issues are, but
right.
Always try to figure out ways to resolve it. But yeah,
of course, yeah. Coaching. I mean, obviously, working with a lot of clients, so you get to coach them a lot, and you get to put in and train them and teach them what they should be doing and what you're doing. So when things are going well in coaching, what's your go-to emotion?
I get ecstatic and happy. It's rewarding seeing other people succeed. I mean, that's really what I like about SEO is seeing other businesses start getting that traffic so they could weed off those ads or stop spending all that money. So
yeah, and it's so definitive, like because you can see all the numbers, you can see what's happening with it, right? Mm-hmm. How cool is that? Okay, and what's your limiting emotion when things aren't working well in coaching?
Sometimes get a little frustrated if I'm complicating things or trying to look at how I'm teaching, because with SEO it is really technical, and over the years I've tried to simplify things and not get too in the weeds, because with Google it can get really technical. So
yeah, I bet. Okay, and relationships, whether family, are you married?
Not right now.
No. Okay. So just in relationships in general, family, whatever, but not partnerships. What's your go-to emotion when things are going well?
Oh, definitely happy with that stuff. Yeah. When things are going well. So
when things are going poorly, what's the limiting emotion?
Sometimes again, get a little upset or frustrated, and
yeah. For sure. Cool. And that's it. Those are all the categories. So pretty simple, pretty easy. Easy, right? Like easy. Yeah. But I think it's important that other entrepreneurs kind of go, oh yeah, I'm not a weirdo. I'm not out on my own, only one feeling this in these situations. And I feel like that kind of covers some of our basic situations that all of us entrepreneurs are dealing with on a regular basis. We've talked so much about all these things that we should do. And as I quite frequently point out, we as entrepreneurs love to do the thing that we love to do, which means that there are a whole lot of things in business that we don't love to do and that we don't really want to take ages to learn how to do it ourselves. So tell us about the things that you're up to, the things you do for your clients, that if I was looking at it going, okay, I don't want to do that, I know it's important. Mm-hmm. Can you do that for me? So tell us about the things that you do for your clients and how we can get to you and how we can find you and just all about that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty much I help out with SEO, whatever needs to be done to get you up there, whether it's writing content, building backlinks, doing press releases, blogging, doing the technical SEO, optimizing the website speed and things like that. Could assist with that, because there's a lot of different nuances and things. I mean, there's over, I think, 300 different ranking factors that go into Google's algorithm. So
wow,
like a puzzle though. I always tell people there's some pieces that are a lot bigger than others. So you don't have to worry about all of them, but like the content and the backlinks are probably over half of that puzzle at least.
Right.
So that's at least focusing on those things and just making sure that everything's done according to Google, doing keyword research, helping out with infographics, whatever needs to be done to just get you those backlinks and get that content out there. That's really what I could help out with. And right now I have my own company. It's called SEO Optimizers. So been doing SEO for a while, doing it freelance, working at companies and different advertising agencies, but right now do it all through SEO Optimizers. And if they want to get in contact with me, they could check out my website, seooptimizers.com with 2 O's. So SEOOPTIMIZERS.com. And I made a page too. So if you go to seooptimizers.com/gift, there's a page there specifically for anyone that's listening to this podcast, just showing my appreciation and thanks for everyone sticking through. And if you want to learn more, there's more information there about different classes I offer and all my information's up there. So if you go to seooptimizers.com/gift, you can find it all there. And yeah, that's the best way to get in contact with me.
Awesome. And you have a YouTube channel, which has some amazing content, and you're just killing it there. So they can find you on your YouTube channel, which is, just at YouTube/C/Brandon Leibowitz. We'll put the links in the description. So regardless of where you're watching or listening to this, all the links will be there so you can find it, and you should go check out his stuff. You should go listen to what he has to say and let him help you take your stuff to the next level, right? Digital marketing is what is necessary, and SEO is going to help you do that. So we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being on the podcast today. It has been a pleasure talking with you and hearing about what you can do for all the entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And hopefully this helps out some entrepreneurs and gives them some ideas and kind of gives them a new perspective on how to optimize their websites and start capturing more of that free traffic and keep that long-term strategy of getting free traffic from the search engines. So,
I love it. All right. Thank you.